So just in case you flooded your wheel, here's the good tools that you're going to need. So you'll need a small flathead, and you'll probably need something to push the cuvettes through the bottom. There are little holes here which allow you to push the cuvettes out through the bottom. So the first thing you do is remove the thumb screws after you're done taking the wheel out. Now, just in case your cuvette wheel is in segments, all you have to do is just remove the segments and then push the cuvettes out through the bottom of the segments. That way you don't scratch them, and load them back in the same way through the bottom. But this is going to be for more of a standard wheel. So go ahead and flip it over and just kind of visually show them how you're going to push those out. So make sure you have something soft to push the cuvettes out. And essentially you're just going to kind of push it through the hole, lift it up a little bit, and then you can push the cuvettes right out, free them up. So you can do that for all the cuvettes and see how they're free right there. Now, we recommend doing is lining them up where the edge side is down. That way the two clear sides, which is the visual sides, could actually dry. So you'll want this edge side facing down. And in a way, just give them a little separation so they dry. And then you can push out the rest of the cuvettes. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the wheel apart and let the rest of the cuvettes drop out. So what you want to do is find any point under around one of these three screws on the bottom side and make a little etch mark. So make an etch mark visually from top to bottom. That way you know exactly which screw hole goes with what, because it's very precise. So go ahead and unscrew those three screws. Like I said, if you have paper towels or anything like a mat, that'd be great. That way you could absorb all the liquid, because once you flip it over, there's going to be a lot of water everywhere. Now, this is the point where you're going to look for either a cracked cuvette or something like that. So once you start taking these cuvettes out, you're going to visually inspect each and every one, just in case there's one with a hairline crack that's causing your flooding, besides if the wash unit, let's say the wash unit was flooded. Because of the wash nozzle, some clog or some sort like that. But if not, then this is a good indicator as well. So now once that's taken apart, you can literally lift the outer ring and all the cuvettes should drop out. And that's pretty easier too if you don't feel like pushing them out. But like I said, you need a wide enough area. Like I said, just don't let them fall. You can see some of them are hanging. Just kind of clean them off with your hand. That way you don't take the wheel off and then you have cuvettes flying all over your shop. And like I said, also wear gloves. That way you don't leave fingerprints. We're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So once you have those two removed, you can go ahead and push out all the cuvettes, lay them out, and essentially in the same order I mentioned before, let those dry, unless you have time to actually use a chem wipe to wipe them down. And in that case, we'd recommend grabbing it from the top, essentially using a paper towel and cleaning both the clear sides. Not that side is fine, but I would go ahead and just kind of clean the whole thing just to make sure it's dry. And then you want to make sure that it's visually you can see properly through that hole, and then you can load those back in. So now the reason is we took the two wheels apart, there's going to be water inside this wheel. So what you want to do is, if you have any canned air, is blow air into any of these holes in the bottom segments. Kind of blow through all these holes here, make sure there's no water inside any of these holes. As you can see through the bottom, same thing through the top. We'll make sure there's no water in any of these ridges, any on the inside of these holes. Now if you don't have that, or if you have another machine, you can go ahead and just set those aside and let those air dry. But it's a lot faster if it's apart. So you can have the two sitting aside, and then essentially you start lining up all the cuvettes, letting those air dry, like so. Like I said, edge side down. Like I said, you don't want to leave fingerprints, so obviously you have gloves. These are fine, so we're not really worried about that right now for this purpose. And then there you go. And then once you're done with that, like I said, but at this point you want to visually check every single one to make sure there's no hairline cracks or any cracked cuvettes. And also if you don't see any cracked cuvette bits inside there as well. Like this one, perfect example. So you can see right here, let me zoom in. You can see that this cuvette's got a nice crack in it. Okay, that's what we're looking for. If you have a hairline crack or something like that, that'll show up right there. Okay, that's it.